I want to touch on something real fast, and I'm going to try to be quick. I know a lot of y'all have the attention span of a squirrel. I made a video a few weeks back, and right after the Uvalde shooting, the day of the Uvalde shooting, before any of the information or details were out about what happened, I made a few assumptions. And my assumptions were based on, the past results of past mass shootings. And I was correct on all of them. And one of the assumptions, some of the assumptions I made was school resource officers or police. Everyone always, after every mass shooting, they always talk about upping police. And there's been school resource officer at every single mass shooting. But I digress. Let me go back to real quick. Some of the things I want to touch on is what's happened since Uvalde in the 13 weeks that has gone by, where are we at now, some of the things I like that I'm seeing that are a little bit different, some of the changes that are being made, and some of the things I don't like or that need improving on. Because it seems like after every mass shooting, we keep doing the same stuff. We keep throwing at it the same things, the same solutions we think are going to work. And if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same results you've always had. First thing I want to go over media. I think the media actually handled this one a little bit better. They didn't plaster the school shooter all over the news networks like some kind of rock star and glorify him. One of the things that creates more active shooters is notoriety or fame as a career choice among teens. We talk about that in some of my other videos. So media did a lot better. Not every network, but most of them. And again, schools bringing in more SROs. I think we should have SROs, school resource officers, at every school, but I don't think it's the end-all, be-all. I think hardening up is the best approach. I heard one guy say it should be like a shark cage. I like that analogy. The run, hide, fight mythology. If it's done correctly. Run, if there's an exit or something right there, absolutely. But it needs to be a tactical decision on the teacher. If she's going to egress, is she going to have 20 kids in tow and run towards the exit? I don't know if you ever heard gunshots inside, but they tend to reverberate and echo. So it's where's the gunshots coming from? Where's the shooter? You may potentially move out into the hallway and egress towards the shooter. So it's hard to find. And if teacher has 20 kids in tow and she leaves one, I mean, it's going to be on her. So it's a tactical decision the teacher has to make. I think lockdown is going to be a major key. And even on the run, high, fight mythology, on run, I've seen one school actually do where they want the kids to grab shoulder and shoulder, grab the kid in front of them, and to make it more streamlined, more smooth on egressing and leaving the school. But what happens when there's gunshots? Kid's going to do this. Kid's not going to hold his his buddy's shoulder. But yeah, the run, hide, fight mythology, hide or lockdown, absolutely. I think that's the way to go. If the door can withstand 15-20 minutes of punishment, for enough time for police to get there, I think that should be good. Parkland High School in Florida was somewhat of a success on the school's part. The active shooter didn't get into any of those classrooms. But what he did was he did shoot through the windows of the classrooms. I get why a lot of these schools have these little square, rectangular windows, is so staff could look through and view the teachers and students in there or whatever. But if you're going to do that, at the very least, there's some companies that sell these little pull-down curtains or blinds that you could cover the windows. Or like a suggestion I've made to a school before is use like some tape or like a marker or a demarcation point you could put on the wall, where anything in front of this tape or mark can be seen from the outside through the window. Anything past it can't be seen. Something like that. But again, lockdown is key. The Uvalde should have never happened. He should have never been able to get into the school. But when he got into the school, he should never then been able to get into the classroom. That's one of the things my company does is we do a site assessment on these schools before we come up with an EOP, emergency operations plan. And we could have gauged and saying, hey, this door is unsecure, this isn't secure in this classroom. And that's what these schools need to start doing. Some schools are coming up with emergency operation plan books, which are good, but they're going to these companies and they're buying these generic EOP plan books. It's like a paste all. EOP plan needs to be site specific. It needs to be school specific for that school. You can't come up with an emergency operations plan without doing a site assessment. And if you do a site assessment, it's pointless without coming up with emergency operations plan book. So that's one of the things that needs to take place. Police training. I always said this. Police need to get better training. Some of them are starting to get better. They're trying to do it at school. But what upsets me is a lot of these, like around here, a lot of these police are saying, oh, now I need to take the time and know geography and do a layout and a walkthrough of the school. That should have happened a long time ago. Again, schools and SROs. I think all schools should have SROs there. But at the same time, it's not the end-all, be-all. And every single one of these just about have had shootings, have had SRO. Like Parkland had an SRO. You know, that SRO was the school resource officer was trying to even keep people from going in. As we've seen with the Uvalde, it's been a major fail. You know, there's police there already before he went in. There's police there after he went in. Major failure on their part. But mass shootings in general, right? 1984, the McDonald's mass shooter. Guy went into McDonald's, shot up the place. One guy held down 184 cops at bay, ran out of the victims, started shooting into the dead bodies of the victims. They finally shot him through one of the windows, a sniper, finally. Pulse nightclub, same thing, right? Cops finally make entry. The shooter goes into the bathroom and start shooting people that ran to the bathroom earlier to hide. The cops can hear the shooter in the bathroom killing people. Columbine. The police were maybe 50 yards from two double-door unlocked doors to the school library where Eric Karras and Dylan Klebold went in and killed most of their victims. The police could hear gunshots, didn't go in, didn't make entry. And one of the things I tell schools when they do the active shooter training is, yeah, you could, have police, EMT come in and observe or whatever, but it shouldn't be police and EMT active shooter training because then it becomes about their response. It needs to be about the teacher's response. It needs to be, what is the teacher going to do? So Texas has passed campus carry where teachers can carry, but a lot of schools in their policy, they don't allow teachers to carry. So if you're the parent to one of these kids, you need to start calling schools and demand that they allow these teachers to carry arms. Some of the schools, the fire alarm sounds the same as the active shooter alarm. That's still a thing. I don't know why they don't change that. They need to have two different alarms. The worst thing you want during an active shooter is it floods the hallways with kids. So let's recap. Let's summarize what needs to take place to stop these school shootings or prevent them at the least. Parents, right? Starts with the parents. Bulk of these school shootings is because a kid or somebody found their parent's gun and go to the school and shoot up the school. Lock up your guns. Lock up your guns. And parents all the time, I always hear, oh, I didn't teach my son to be like that, or my son will never do something like that, yada, yada, yada. The prison system's full of rapists and murderers, and none of their parents taught them to be a rapist and a murderer, right? At the end of the day, your kid's a human being. So you don't know what he's thinking or what he's going to do. He has something called free will. Lock up your guns. Get involved in your kid's life. Right, a lot of these school shooters, at least two of them at least, post on social media and YouTube that they're going to do something like this. And with the parents, also get involved with the school. Make sure the school, if the school has the guardian program, or if there's campus carry passed in your state where teachers are allowed to carry, make sure the school policy allows those teachers to carry. Demand that the teachers are allowed to carry a firearm. Make sure that your school is doing some kind of active shooter training program for teachers and staff. Not just active shooter training program for the police to show up there. Like I said, it needs to be about the teacher's response. All of that is good and all for the police, but it needs to be about the teacher's response. They are going to be the first responder when the shooting happens. It's going to be a teacher. And not only that, that's the active shooter training with the police. It's been tried. It's been done. yeah, keep going that route. It's worked out for us in the past, hasn't it? Teachers. With teachers, make sure, again, like with the parents, make sure your school allows you to carry a handgun. Demand it. Demand that these schools do better active shooter training programs. Make sure there's an EOP, emergency operations procedure plan, in place. And when you go to these companies, don't get one of these companies that does a generic catch-all EOP plan just to get paid and send it out generically. There needs to be a site assessment. It needs to be school specific. Police, better training. Your police officers need to have better training. They need to take it upon themselves and go out to some of these other courses and stuff around here. Even if they're not getting the TCO hours for it, they need to get off their ass and go train more. They need to go shoot more. They need to go work out, get gym memberships. The company I work for, one thing I like that they do is if you work for them, they give you get free gym membership. Police need to do something like that if your department doesn't already. Geography, knowing simple geography and the layout of schools. Every cop in that county needs to go and do, hey, you mind if I do a walkthrough of the school, see the classrooms, does doors swing in and out, how does it work? I'm sure the schools and staff won't mind you doing that. So for teachers, law enforcement, go out, get trained, take some of our classes, or don't take classes with us, but get some kind of training somewhere, especially teachers. Those kids' lives are in your hands. You owe it to them to be trained. And an active shooter comes into your school, I hate to say this, teachers, but you are going to be the first responder.